Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's installment of the Purveyors of Health. My name is Angelo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mallory.
And this episode is brought to you by Purium Health Products. And if any of you guys want to stick around after the call at the top of the hour, we're going to be talking about some of the core products of Purium and the business opportunity. But today we have a very special guest today. Mallory, you want to introduce Rosy?
Yeah, Rosy Crescitelli. She's a human design specialist and has so many beautiful gems to share with us all today. So, like Angelo said, have a notepad and a pen ready.
Awesome. Thank you for that, guy. Oh, Amy, I was just talking about you. I'm so glad you're back. Okay, so I will just share a tiny bit about where design comes from and how it called me in, and then we're going to dive in. I'd love to be able to share something a little different for my friends that joined me on Tuesday, so you won't just be like, oh, we already heard this. Although it's such great information, even in its hearing it again will help it land in a new way, I have no doubt. But I was born and raised here in San Diego. I'm here in San Diego, and I grew up my mom was a hippie. First off, I grew up in OB. Like we were homeless. We did it OB upright. We like couch surfed and lived in a van down by the beach and dumpster dove and did the whole thing. Like we had the whole OB experience legit. And it was a bit chaotic, but I didn't know any different. So I remember having a really fun childhood, however, not the most safe childhood. And so when things got a little crazy, my mom dropped me off with my dad, and he had started dating a woman that was super religious and strict. So I went from being like a free bird to like a caged bird. But that came with its own benefits and blessings. Like Victoria shared, if you were on the beginning of the call, I learned everything about hospitality from this woman. I did learn about Jesus and the Bible, and it became a huge part of how I grew up. And now I'm honoring my hippie mom and my stepmom, and I have this new expansive belief system where there's no box. I like to call God, universe, source. So you'll hear me call God Gus to honor just expansive God, because it's just, God doesn't care what you call God. So I'm just going to call him Gus. It's so awesome. It makes it real fun. It's fun, right? Like when people hear God, sometimes people contract up, but when you hear Gus, it's like your buddy Gus, like Gus is coming over. Yes. Like expansive fun. Let's do that version, shall we? And it's been a really healing opportunity for me to learn human design, because I definitely experienced deep conditioning as a child. I learned how to survive that childhood in both extremes. And I actually now have a real appreciation for how I survived that based on my human design. And my hope is that you will be able to walk away from this conversation with some tools and some allowance and some permission, and maybe even some clear guidelines on the way that you can begin to pursue health in a whole new way. Whether it's with Purium or even just daily living practices. When you know how you're designed, you can appreciate what you're sending out. You can own that and send it out at its highest vibration. And you can know whom you're attracting and what they're bringing to you, and whether it's healthy, unhealthy, high vibration, low vibration, and you can build in allowances around those things too. So the way we're going to switch up this conversation is I want to talk about the 9 centers that are on that chart. So if you didn't yet, go to jovianarchive.com and put in your birth information. It can be found on your birth certificate, or send out that text to whoever raised you, and hopefully you can get a picture. It will look interesting, my friends, a little bit like a preschool assignment. So very quickly, I need to frame this. It's getting a little tattered, but this is my first chart I have of me when I first learned about human design. Like, it's ripped. The ink is fading. I've drawn all over it. This is my first line profile number on display. So lots of different language when it comes to human design. I'm going to keep it real simple for you tonight. But also I'm going to drop in my website because I just created a new gift that I love to share with people. So my website's wholeheartedrosy.com, ROSY. And my free gift is about those profile lines. So the profile lines, everyone has 2 numbers, and they relate to the Chinese I Ching. So human design is some sprinkling of the Hindu chakra system, the Chinese I Ching, the Jewish Kabbalah, astrology, quantum physics, and I'm probably forgetting one other thing. But it's pieces of it woven together in a new, different type of science. We call it the science of differentiation. And every single human is created differently. We all know this like logically, but now I get to see how. And it's my great pleasure to draw out the brilliance and the treasure in everyone's designs. And so, the profile lines are really cool because it shows how you interact with people. It shows what people expect from you. And when you know that energetically, because this is all just energy, when you know that, then you can just own it and you can show up in your highest expression of that. So very quickly, I'll touch on them quickly, and then you can head to my website if you'd like to just have a paper copy of this information. But the one is the study or the researcher, the teacher, the authority. We gather information, we take crazy notes. We need to get certified in all the things. So I have a master's degree in reading literacy. I have a bachelor's degree in Bible and elementary education. So like, I'm serious, like I went for it. Which is perfect for me. Of course I would. You can go get the 1-year Bible certificate, or you can double major. And I was like, double major, duh. And then I got my master's in reading literacy with a whole bunch of extra certifications in multisensory learning. And then I started doing essential oils, but I couldn't just do oils. I became a clinical certified aromatherapist. And then I couldn't just read the book on human design. I had to go to the mothership, the Institute of Human Design. And I'm basically getting a master's degree right now. But there's PhD level knowing, and it can be like a 10, 20-year adventure. I will probably do that because it's my first line and it's my first number. So it's a huge part of me. Anytime someone wants to know something, they call me, and I own that. I market myself that way. I tell people I am the resource. If you need anything about emotions, stress, energy, or working in a wholehearted way, I'm your girl. And so that's basically what my day looks like. I get invited to answer questions, and it's my favorite thing to do. So I invite you to ask any questions that come up. The 2 is the hermit. They need to stay sort of introverted to protect and manage their energy. You're also very naturally gifted at all sorts of things. And when you pull into your hermit shell crab, pursue those things that just light you up and that you're naturally good at, and get better at them. Play an instrument, you create, whatever that looks like. Do those things, and that's how you recharge. And then people will call you out of your hermit shell crab because you've got all these natural gifts and talents that people want and need. Make sure you're honoring that about yourself before you emerge from your hermit shell crab. Hermit crab shell, sorry. The 3s of the world that have a 3, you have to learn lessons through trial and error. So you're built a little tougher than the rest of us because you've got to bump into things to learn them for yourself. So when you know that about yourself, own it and be courageous enough to share with other people the lessons that you've learned. So I shared this with the Tuesday crowd. Read Brene Brown, listen to her TED Talk on courage and vulnerability, because your mission is to share that information with people, the things and lessons you've learned. And then if you're a 4, that's my second number, you're the networker. and you know people and they know you, and you're designed to connect them and to get your opportunities from your network of friends. So more than likely Mallory or Angelo has a 4, or someone in this group does, and that's how you got that connection to be in this space. It's a really fun number to have. I'm a little partial to it. It's my second number, and it's how all of my businesses and life operates, through my network of friends. So just own that and go with that, and it's pretty awesome. The 5s, you guys are the heretics, and that's heavy language, but it just means you've got a message to bring. That's Angelo. I get a thumbs up from that. So he's creating this space. I've got a message. This is how you purvey health. Like, he's just here for it. He's got a message. He's got people. He's got a platform. Like, there it is. I'm like, I don't know if either of them have a 4, but now I know why we're all here. Like, he's got a message to share, and everyone that has a 5 has a message to share. So this is your permission to step on that platform, shout your message out. But in typical heretic fashion, it's not going to be everybody's message. That not everybody is going to be saved by your message. I weave in and out of like Bible stories, so I've warned you. So Jesus is a perfect picture of a heretic. He had a group of followers. He had a message to share. He had disciples and people on mountains and all the things, but then he was also crucified for that message. Not everybody liked it. So let that be okay about you. Like, own it. Don't hide it. Shout your message from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, and the people who need it will hear the call, and everyone else can go scratch. There's some permission for you. And then last but not least, the 6 is like the 3. You've got these life cycles you have to go through, trial and error for your first 30 years. And then you go into your cocoon to transform from those lessons. And you sometimes still have to learn the lessons, but you're slowing it down a little bit and using the lessons to transform. And then from 50 on, so 0 to 30, 30 to 50, and then 50 on, you embody this life of wisdom. People seek you out to learn your lessons that you have walked through. So that's my free gift. I love sharing that because that's how we interact. And when you know this about yourself, that becomes a whole different level of permission in your body, because a lot of dis-ease is just energy mismanaged. So this is going to be our conversation over how to manage your energy, how to own it in its highest expression, and let that be your truth, let that be your experience, and just watch everything else click together. There are supplements, there are products, there are practices that will speed up this process of permission and healing and transformation. But honestly, if you can just get to the base knowledge of, oh, I'm a generator, I'm here to do work that's satisfying. Oh my gosh, I'm a projector. I'm here to shine my light out, and the people who need me will invite me. I'm a manifester. I'm just supposed to inform people. Is that true? Like, seriously, I don't have to ask permission? No, you don't. You literally just inform people. The people who are meant to be with you will hop on the train. I mean, you want to talk about deconditioning, manifestors just doing what they are driven to do and guided to do, and doing it unapologetically. I'm watching people's whole health history change when they step into this with knowledge and consciousness and awareness. And then reflectors are super rare. If you're a reflector, please drop it in the comments. You are 1% of the population, and I am here for you. You are sampling the whole variety of humanity. And what happens with reflectors, and I have a friend who is one, and he chooses to numb out because it's so much energy that he's absorbing from others that he cannot handle his life and how that shows how it is. And so I'm trying to help him not become attached to what everyone's bringing to him, and just to observe instead. So as we go through the 9 centers, they'll either be colored in with literally colored, some color. The colors don't matter, so there's no cool story to tell about this colors. Sorry about that. I wish there were. Trust me. The first line in me is like, they have to mean something. I want to know that the colors mean something. They don't. They're just colors. And if they're white, that means that you are going to experience that energy from someone else. And so it's about being curious and observant and not taking their energy into your body and making it your own. You want to talk about, again, energy mismanagement. That's a huge way that that dynamic is introduced into people's lives, is when you are absorbing everyone's questions, absorbing everyone's concepts, absorbing everyone's words, everyone's heart and their desires and their sense of identity, their willpower, their ego. I mean, you want to talk about ego, healthy and unhealthy. That's another conversation for another day. If that little tiny white triangle is white, you're absorbing ego. And think about being on social media. Think about the news. Think about our previous president. Like, if you didn't have that colored in, you were like, whoa, whoa. You know, it was a lot. It was a lot to handle. Absorbing people burnt out and how they're working and whether they're working in a healthy way, if they're emoting in a healthy way or not, if they're handling stress in a healthy way, you know, all of these shapes. And then last but not least, fears and anxieties. I just walked through the 9 centers very quickly. So if they're colored in, then you are sending that energy out. And I want to help you understand that so you can own it and then choose the highest way you can send that out to others. And if it's white, you are absorbing other people that have that shape colored in. And this will be how you can help people, how you can contribute and speak into their lives, how you can come alongside them and share insights when invited. And possibly match them up with products, people, opportunities, practices that will really help them out. So this is a beautiful group demonstrating that you know, the sharing of knowledge and sharing of opportunities and sharing of products and people that are all so heart-centered. So I'm honored to be in this space. I hold that work at such a high level that I was happy to accept that invitation, because I do not just pop into any group, just so you know. I guard my energy fiercely.
Rosy, thank you for all that valuable information. If anyone wants to drop their results in the chat, if you feel comfortable with sharing, or you have questions, pop it in the chat, or, you know, chime in if you'd like, because we want to hear from you guys too, how this impacts you. So this is good information. This is really good information.
Thank you, Angelo. That's a great idea. I love questions. I love interaction. So how about we do it this way? If you've got your chart in front of you, we're going to start at that top triangle. And again, if you don't have your chart, you don't have your birth time, or you don't care, I'm glad you're here. I mean, you care, obviously, or you would not be in this call, but you can just listen and see what your experience is, and then just observe and see what comes up for you. So this top center is, it's called the center of inspiration. And it is where questions are asked. It's where we observe mental pressure, like the pressure to know, the pressure to understand. When it's colored in, you have a responsibility to inspire others. And you do, whether you're conscious of it or not. If it's colored in, you are here to inspire others. Take that seriously, friends. Guard your mind, step into practicing mindfulness, because you're sharing your mind with others. And the majority of the population do not have this colored in. So they're being influenced and inspired by those of us that do have it colored in. I have it colored in. I take this as a responsibility especially in social media, especially in our day and age, to send out as bright of a light as I can. And if it's colored in, I encourage you to do the same thing. You are inspiring others, whether you like it or not. So choose your words with impeccability, share like forward inspiring stories, like tag people that need to hear and be inspired. Like it's part of what you're here to do. And if it's not colored in, be curious about what inspiration people are sending out. You will know whether it's in integrity or not. You will know if it's correct for you or not. We are not designed to make decisions from the mind. We are here to observe with our mind. So if you're up in your head and you're asking questions and you're like a hamster on a wheel because you're trying to figure everything out, it's an exercise in futility. It's not going to work. So observe, get curious, let Gus show up with the answers, let Gus show up with the how, with the when, with the who, with the what. And then it becomes this really cool life of, Angelo just gave me an upgrade in language. I was like, I want a bowl full of money. He was like, upgrade, like want is scarcity. Let's not do that. I was like, yes. Okay. So this is practicing a healthy expression. Oh man, I can't wait to see how I'm going to get a bowl full of money. Like, do you hear the expansion? Like, you're stating that, yes, this is something I desire. I have no idea how it's going to happen. I don't know who's going to fill it up with money. I don't know when, but I'm here for it. Like, it's just holding that space with curiosity and wonder and letting it be a fun way of letting Gus show up in just a myriad of ways that you never even dreamed. So that's the top triangle. If it's colored in, you're sending out inspiration. If it's not colored in, you're absorbing and amplifying that out so you can help those of us that have it colored in with our inspiration, because you're absorbing it and you can pick up on what really is inspiring. So yeah, Caitlin, thank you. She said top color triangle colored in. Me too. So take that seriously, Caitlin. Send out inspiring messages, words, thoughts, quotes, resources. Own it. You are inspiring. Now you know. Moving on to the triangle that's pointing down. This is where we file all of the facts. This is how we conceptualize. And because Caitlin's top triangle is colored in, automatically her bottom one is going to be colored in. That's the same for me as well. And we're designed to have active minds. And it still doesn't mean we're supposed to decide from the mind. It just means we have a very specific way that we think, we process information. Again, I can get super duper specific on what that looks like for you, just so you can hear the difference. For me, I process information primarily through stories of the past. Like, I'm like, oh, I talked to someone that happened to them. Oh, and this is how it worked out for them. So if I do something similar, maybe I'll have the same result. Maybe not, but I remember someone telling me about that. Like, it's from the past. So, and it's being able to make sense of the past. And this works for myself and others. It's a really cool superpower that I have, but I'm not super logical. That's the line on the right. And I don't have a lot of individual thought processes. So depending on where the line is, tells its own story. We're not going to be able to get into all that. So I'm keeping it as general as I can. But this conceptualization, it just means you have a set way of figuring things out. So just let that be. Rest in that. You have your system, you have your way your things work. My house is clean, but it's not organized. But I also know where everything is. So, like my system works for me, doesn't work for my husband so much, but we know that about one another. So also, I just hopped off another Zoom call where I was sharing partnership analysis. That is a really powerful practice, and it's one of my offerings too. So if you're curious to know how your partner conceptualizes or inspires or doesn't, like we can set that up. So If it's green, you're here to share how you conceptualize. If it's white, you're absorbing everyone's way of conceptualizing. So pick what lights you up. Don't be frustrated with yourself if you buy this planner and it doesn't work for you, or you order that system and it doesn't work for you. Send that shit back, friends. Like, don't keep things that don't work for you, but also know that you were able to be inspired by something from that system. So that's a better question to ask. Like, okay, the whole system didn't work out for me, but I was drawn to it because of this one aspect. And so honor that one aspect, narrow down because it works for you. And then, you know, maybe you've got your own creative way of gathering information and whatnot. So it's this like unlimited way of being organized and helping those of us that are stuck in the way that we organize, being like, well, Rosie, okay, I heard you say your house is clean, but not organized, but you know where everything is. Like, what about this? Because you're sitting with me and you're absorbing how I conceptualize, and you can bring in wisdom on how I can become even more efficient, because that's your superpower. You're absorbing that information and energy from me. And we attract one another also. So this is a really cool, energetic hack with human design. Every white shape you have, someone with it colored in wants to come to you like a moth to a flame, because at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen and understood. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to be understood. And we hear, see, and understand people that are bringing that definition to you. It's fascinating. And it will bless your life, and you'll be like, oh, that's why we found each other. Oh, cool. Okay. Would you like to hear my insight about your emotions, stress, and how you're working? Those are my 3 white shapes in my chart. And everyone who wants to work with me wants insight on one, if not all 3 of these things. And that's my superpower, is sitting with them in their chaotic energy, their chaotic work habits, and their chaotic stress, and helping match them up with products, resources, opportunities, peoples, and practices that help them in those spaces. So I need to talk faster because we're only done with 2 and we've got 7 left. Okay, the next one is the throat. This is a big energy, friend. Big, 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 big energy. Angelo, thank you for helping me with my words today, because what we speak, we manifest. And that's why he was so quick to jump in and say, don't say the W word.
Rosie, would you like a screen share of the chart, or would that help to show us somebody's chart, or is that not necessary?
Yeah, I can. Let me pull up. You are going to have to make me co-host.
Okay, I will do that.
And I will use myself as a guinea pig, because I'm not trying to violate anybody. I mean, unless someone wants to volunteer, you would need to send me your chart, or I would need permission. Like, I have Drea's.
If you have mine too, if you don't use Drea's, you can use mine.
You can use mine. I don't care.
You don't care? Okay. Because I actually don't know where mine is.
All right, you're co-host now, Rosie, so you can share if you want. Put somebody's up here.
Okay. Here we go. Drea, thanks for being the guinea pig today, my friend. She's good for it. Warrior goddess, Drea, love. Okay, it says I still can't share my screen.
Does it only a host can do that? Let's see.
You should be able to make me a co-host.
Let's try it now. There we go. Okay, you're
there
good.
We go. Yep, I see it now. Okay, so here we go. Thank you, friend. Here is Drea per human design. So this is the throat center. Thank you. I do, the multisensory in me was like, I need a chart to show everybody. So Drea's throat is undefined. And what that means is she's absorbing and amplifying back the words of others. So she can tell right away if someone is speaking in integrity or not. And she'll call you out on it too. It's one of the things I love about her. when your throat is white, when that square is white, you are designed to listen more and talk less. But you will feel the pressure to speak. So let that pressure out in as healthy a way as you can. Talk to yourself, talk out loud, talk to your phone, call a friend, because it's pressure that builds up throughout the day, and it can manifest in thyroid concerns. All of these connect physiologically to the body as well. So the pineal gland is up here, the brain and it's, are up here. Brain eyes are in the triangle pointing down, and then you've got the thyroid in the throat. So again, it's another way to access, like, oh man, yep, I have some thyroid issues, or I have sore throats, or I have strep throat, or anything with the throat. Try looking at it from an energetic perspective and see what shows up for you, and then match yourself up with products, opportunities, people, and practices that will help support bringing that back into balance. If it's colored in, friends, but okay, first off, look at all the purple circles in Drea's throat. Even though she's not, I'm not going to say she's not designed to speak, because that's not truth. She absolutely is, and she's got so much wisdom to share. And you can see all of this wisdom. So she absorbs the energy from others, and then she has all of these different expressions to send that out, primarily through storytelling, gathering together with others. Like, each of these numbers tells a story. It's really fun. As you can tell, I love talking about it. This next triangle here is called the G center. It's like the G of a nautilus shell. Have you seen a nautilus shell with all of its compartments? It's part of the heart energy in the Hindu chakra system. It's the center of identity, self, and direction. And as you can see, Drea's is colored in. So by design, she's here to show and demonstrate to the world, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. Watch me and learn. And she models that beautifully. If you guys are not following her, Drea Love, on all of her things, she models this energy beautifully. So shameless plug for my friend Drea. So again, if you have it colored in, you're influencing people through your identity, where you're going, how you're doing it, and the direction you're going in. So own that. And if you're not certain, let's get you certain, because you're sending out uncertainty then. And don't hear judgment. Let's just get you some support to get you dialed in on who you are, how to do it, where to go, when to go, how to go, all of that. If it's undefined, this is a really tricky one to have undefined, because it can look like role confusion. It can look like you taking on lots of different jobs, lots of different titles, like trying on lots of different things. That doesn't have to be wrong. Just know that energetically, you're not going to come in and send out that confidence that those of us that have it yellow are doing. So your superpower is to partner with people like us and tell them, yeah, let's get your heart. Let's get that dialed in, friend. Again, this is how it looks in its best expression. Friend, I can tell that something's really heavy on your heart. Would you like to hear what I'm experiencing, or would you like to hear about something that I think would really support you? And let them say yes to that invitation, because otherwise you're giving unsolicited advice, and that does not feel good to anyone. Doesn't feel good to you. That's not, the advice isn't being accepted, and it doesn't feel good to the person who's getting dumped on with unsolicited advice. So human design builds in safeguards for the throat and any of these knowings that we have about others. When it's healthy, you are checking in and you are asking permission to share what you're experiencing, and the other person in its highest expression is ready to hear your wisdom. My mother-in-law is showing up to get her dog, so I'm going to let her in really quickly. Talk amongst yourselves for just a second, and I'll be right back.
All right. Thanks, Rosie. Does anybody have any questions or input? If you do, unmute yourself and jump in and say what you got to say. We want to hear from you. Nobody? All right.
I'll hop on. I am learning a lot. I don't know about anybody else. This is really good information because it resonates so much, and I'm definitely going to go deeper into learning this and learning about myself and how I can be more of service to others. So, thanks for having this Zoom call.
Oh man, that's
Thanks,
awesome.
Caitlin.
Thank you. Who was that? I just have like the bar.
It's Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin, awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
Caitlin, if it's correct for you to do that with me, I'd be so honored, friend. And if not, I do not take that personally any longer. One of the really amazing gifts I've learned through my human design is if my crazy light is not your color, frequency, or flavor, that is not about me. That's about you, and it's fine. I'm just going to keep shining my light out the way it is, and if it's correct, great. So. Oh yeah.
I have a quick question, and maybe you've already gone over this, but there's a lot of information to unpack here. On the side where it says design and personalities, can you explain those symbols? I mean, I only know a few of them. I'm not too well versed in this, so. Well,
I will admit that I, being a Bible college graduate, I am new to the astrology scene. So I might have to ask Drea or Victoria, but I'll do my best. So basically, where the planets were the moment you were born are these numbers here. And so this is the sun, where the sun was in its transit. Well, the sun doesn't move, but we still transit around it. So this is where we were, where the sun was when you were born on the moment of your birth. When you head over here, this is 88 days before you were born. So it's called design, and some of the language is unconscious because you weren't born yet. You weren't infused with all the neutrino stream from these glorious planets and energies and the sun and the moon and where the earth was and all the things. This was woven into your chromosomes. This is more from your family, from your lineage, from your genealogy. And so it is how your body responds to things as opposed to you knowing these parts about you. So the personality is just that. It's like, oh yeah, I know that about myself. Yeah, no, yeah, this is a part of me. So like Drea is probably more than likely connected to this need for consistency and continuity. And when she doesn't have consistency and continuity and knows what to expect, then that is like a quick way for her to get off track. And I will not share anything specific, Drea, but if you want to share anything specific about that, her conscious sun, this is a huge energy in your chart. So I know we're tempted to want to know every number and every decimal. By the way, the decimals are the profile lines that I talked about. This is where the Chinese I Ching calendar that goes around the earth, the 365-day calendar we go by. The Chinese I Ching has its own take on that, and that's infused into the profile lines per human design. So conscious when you were born, unconscious 88 days before you were born, and where all the planets were. So let me give it a go. Sun, Earth, Moon, got those. This is where the Earth was. So the North Node, like compared, like the Northern Hemisphere, where the Earth was in that transit, the South Node, and then Mercury. It's the order of the planets. I was homeschooled too, so help me. Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto.
Neptune, Pluto.
Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So there you go. We do the order. So the ones that it starts, you've got the Earth, and then you do Moon, North Node, South Node. Those are the ones that people usually aren't familiar with. and then it follows the order of the planets. So this is fast moving energy, very slow moving energy. They don't change. These nodes don't change for years. So everyone that is born around the same time as Drea will have the same theme in their life, the theme of the 46, which is determination. So a little bit of flavoring. Did that answer your question, Angelo?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. And so all of these are just where those planets were and whether they connect up, lights up the centers, which everything tells a story. So Drea has lots of wisdom about others and not as much energy to manage for herself. But if you follow her and you know anything about her, she's in a process of deconditioning and deconstructing her experience in corporate America and now creating a life on her terms. But her body showed up with a lot of symptomology because of forcing herself to climb that corporate ladder and work when she didn't want to and meet the deadline and da 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 da. She crushed it in that department, by the way, but it came at the expense of her health. This is a perfect conversation for us to be having. This little triangle is little, it's the smallest shape, but it carries some big energy. This is willpower and ego. If it's colored in, you literally are here to prove yourself in whatever capacity the rest of your design shows. So for me, I'm here to prove that people can be emotionally healthy. They can model empowered energy in a healthy, heart-centered, wholehearted way, literally tattooed on my body. I'm here to prove that people can work in harmony, not at the expense of their own selves or the expense of others. And that makes up these top two numbers on both sides. They become your life's work, your life's purpose. Like we get that specific in human design. So, you know, it's a pretty cool knowing. So I am here to prove it in a healthy way. This is another part of the heart. It functions like the heart. It sends out pulses of energy that work and then rest. You think about the heart, it pushes out oxygenated blood and then it pulls deoxygenated blood back in, oxygenates it, then pushes that back out. And it just goes on and on. And we're so thankful that the heart beats without us being conscious of it, but that's the function. So it's a periods of work and rest, work and rest. So again, if you're not honoring that work rest balance, you will have issues at the heart level. And you know, but also Drea's absorbing all of the unhealthy ego energy from those around her. So if she's not managing that in a healthy way, it will literally affect her at a heart physiological level. So she can partner with people and meet them in that ego space, meet them in that willpower space and say, you're pushing too hard. Relax, flow, surrender. I know those are some of her favorite words. Be. Her word this year is be. She's just be. Don't strive. Don't force. That's perfectly shown in her chart here. Then we go down to the sacral. Big energy here. If it's colored in, I automatically know you're a generator. You're here to build. You're here to do. You're here to create. But you need to do it in a wholehearted, balanced way, not striving, not forcing, not going overboard with, you know, forcing things. You're let your aura do the work for you. We talked about that on Tuesday. Generators pull in resources, people, and opportunities. So all you have to do is respond. Respond. Just respond. Don't force. Don't force. Don't strive. Just respond, because Gus is bringing all the correct things for you. Just respond to the next correct thing, the next correct thing. She knows when the next correct thing is when she checks in with that gut, with that motor. That's the sacral authority. If you're emotional authority, then every decision needs to feel really good. If you're splenic authority, then you will get intuitively guided for what's correct for you. And all of these different nuances, I'm just trying to sprinkle in and at least represent the people that are sharing what they were. Lots of sacral generators, some solar plexus. Yeah. So if it says solar plexus, you're here to feel really good about your decisions. If you're sacral, you will get a gut hit of what's correct for you. And it just becomes a cool way of living and just surrendering and knowing that you're supported, you're divinely guided. That's true. Whether you believe it or not, that's truth. So you may as well surrender to it and enjoy the ride. Makes for a much better time than striving and suffering and all that. Then we'll pop over here to the emotions, since we were just talking about that. Drea is empathic. As soon as I see this triangle white, I'm like, oh, she's empathic. She's absorbing the emotions from others. And so her journey is to not become enmeshed and entangled in those emotions of others, but to help people know whether they are emoting in a healthy way or not. She has a lot of wisdom to share about the emotions of others. She's just not here to get super entangled in those emotions. And she's got excellent boundaries around this in particular. I too am empathic, and I have five of 7 energies colored in. So I absorb emotion. I'm sort of like this, but down here. Drea absorbs when people are sharing, and then she's able to turn around and share the words they need to hear to move forward in their manifestations. And that's how she manifests. But also she's very impeccable with her word. So if it's colored in, you send out waves of emotion. And those of us that live on the coast, we know that this works. There's sets of waves and they roll in, and then there's a break, and then the next set rolls in, and then there's a break, and the next set, and that's you, friend. Those of you that are emotionally defined, this is your seat of authority. It becomes how you move through life. You ride each wave. You are the wave. So just let that be your truth and manage that emotional energy. Please manage that emotional energy, because those of us that are absorbing it are feeling all of your waves, and we are begging you to own it. So when you're not fit for human consumption, please take a break from humanity. And when you're feeling it, when you've got the energy, show up and shine. Bring all of that big emotional energy. Let us experience joy and euphoria and desire and passion. And we are inspired by people that are owning their emotional wave. So it's a gift, and it can feel like a curse, but that's not truth. My journey is to help your weaknesses become your greatest sources of wisdom. And again, I'm using air quotes because I don't believe that anyone has that. I know we experience shadow, we experience lower vibrations. So I'm not trying to say it never happens, but let that be how you show up, and let that be a signal like, oh, I'm sort of low right now. I need to just take a break. I need to clear my schedule. I need to take a bath. I need to fill in the blank. But it's the awareness of like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling bitter. I'm feeling disappointed. And then building support to allow, but then also, move through that with grace and ease. And then we'll pop over here to the spleen. As you can see, when this is colored in, I automatically know you've got set gifts of intuition. And Drea, again, demonstrates this beautifully. She's so highly intuitive, and you can see that's part of her design as well. So she's got a set way of handling fears. She's not designed to be stuck. She's designed to find a solution to get through fears, and to be divinely guided. And she's completely surrendered to this and is so dialed in, it's not even funny. If this is white, you will experience intuition in a variety of ways, in every different way. But the shadow is that you're also absorbing the fears of others. Because this is a place where fear is housed in the body graph. And but fear, even in its very nature, like we were created to handle fear. That's why we have that hippocampus, that fight or flight response. That's why we get pulses of adrenaline. People can lift cars. Like, we were created to be able to handle fear primarily through fight or flight. We added freeze later because people overrode action in fear. Freeze is not the healthiest expression when fear shows up. Fear is designed to kick in an alertness so you can keep yourself safe and survive. That's a very like basic survival space. And it is designed so that we can help people get unstuck. So people that have it white, you can sit with someone in their fear and you can immediately know this will help you move forward. Would you like to hear what I have to share with you to help you move forward and get unstuck? So build that into your life practices and how you contribute to others, friends, if it's white, because that's your superpower for others. It's pretty cool. And then last but not least, this is the root or the drive and stamina. And it's a place of groundedness. It's how we handle stress. So Drea absorbs the stressors of others, but her opportunity is to say, whoa, that's a lot of stress I'm feeling coming off of you. Would you like to hold this crystal? Would you like to sit in my chair? Would you like some Healy? Would you like to drink this or do that or sleep here or rest on that or do this meditation? Like, she's got it dialed in, friends, for how you handle stressors. That's her superpower because she's absorbing it from others. If you have this bottom square colored in, know that you're sending out waves of stress. And again, stress is not designed to sideline us. Stress is designed to get us moving, to get us on the Zoom call on time, to wake up and brush your teeth, to get dressed, to go out and serve and contribute and step into your life purpose. Like, stress is not always bad. Stress gets us moving. And, you know, it's a balance. We are here to balance those things. But honestly, it is here to really to help us move forward in aligned action, to begin projects well, to have the drive and stamina to finish. And if it's not colored in, just know you will need to build in extra supportive practices for those things. So, Drea, thanks for letting us use you as the guinea pig tonight.
Thank you, Drea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a fun little counseling session. Thank you.
I know sometimes it's fun to be the guinea pig.
Thank you so much, Drea and Rosy, because Drea, I know that was your personal chart, and Rosy for that full body explanation of all the details. I can really see that human design is a very intricate practice. So it shows that you studied this really well and you make it very heart-centered. It was felt. So thank you for sharing your gifts with all of us here today. And for whoever will see the repeat later, it's much appreciated. If anyone has any questions, now's the time. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. That's my first line. I'm on a mission to simplify. It's literally my one little word this year. Drea's is be, mine is simplify. Literally made a word. I'm waiting to see.
I have one question.
Stick it on. Yes.
So you just didn't go into detail about if your throat was colored in, and my throat is brown, so I was curious about that.
Yes, I will share that with you. It means that you do have a specific message to share with the world. You are here to model impeccability with your word. We talked about this on Tuesday, but the 4 agreements will really help you step into that beautifully. And it is a calling to have that throat center defined. You are here to model healthy manifestation, healthy giving of words. You're here to speak life over people and be very conscious of the words you're speaking to yourself as well. It is it is a whole thing when that brown square is colored in. I get like my finger out sometimes with it because it's a big energy, but you're wired for it. So rest in that and then just do checks. Like you'll know when you're speaking and it's not your highest expression being shared. And then, you know, have the humility to circle back and say, hey, I could have said that better. Hey, I'm sorry, you know, things like that. Like those of us that have it colored in, we need to be really good at apologizing because our words have an impact. They make an impact. And it's not that the people that have it white don't have access to impact, but understand that your superpower steps in when you come alongside Cody, you come alongside me, you come alongside Golden Soul Healing. Rebecca Marie, you like brown throat mean shit talker. I mean, if you are being a shit talker, like, please don't, but you can, you have that because you're just like, oh, I'm here to speak. You all better listen, you know? And, people do listen. So own that and please choose to do that at its highest expression. Does that feel a little more complete to you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That makes way more sense. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Great question.
Anybody else?
Rosie, the triangle above that points down, mine's green.
Mhm.
Did you talk about that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, that's okay, no problem. That's the Center for Conceptualization. And it just means that you have a very set way of gathering and sorting information. And so, you know, it also just means that you are limited and you are set in your thinking processes. So if those are unhealthy processes, it might be a little bit more support that you need to undo that conditioning. And so it's really beautiful to partner with someone that has it white so they can really sit with you and be like, yeah, about that process you have, you know, let's choose something that will sit better with you, that will work better for you. And so, yeah, it's just owning it. It's owning how, you know, because it's, and each of those lines tells a different story, and I'm happy to chat with you about that individually. But it just means you have an active mind and you have a set way of thinking. That's the quickest answer.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you all again for coming. Anyone who has any interest in finding out more about what Purium has to offer, stick around on the call. Otherwise, have a beautiful evening. And thank you again so much. Thank you, Rosie.
Website in the chat, and I would love to hear from you guys. Are such beautiful humans just for being in a space like this. So I'm extending my invitation to you. If it's correct, I'd love to have your name pop up and keep the conversation going. I do have to step away to get my boys to soccer, but I send blessings and abundance to the rest of your meeting, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. Wholehearted Rosy, ROSY. If you guys are in her .com, Wholehearted Rosy, ROSY.com. If you guys are interested in checking her out.